Oh, spoiled dog. Such a spoiled little dog. You spoiled little dog. Hello, everybody. Say hi, everybody. He looks at the door. There's nobody here. Oh, there goes Mike. Hello, Kenny. Good to see you over there on the Facebook side. Hope you're doing well. This is my new pup, Ryder. He's 3 or 4. And he's very spoiled. Huh? You want down now? You gonna go see Dad? You're like, no. I'm gonna stay right here. Anyways, it is AA Day. I did put in the comments on the YouTube side the link to come up on panel if you want to. I'll have to see your face so that way I know who you are, but if not, that's okay. I don't pressure people into coming up on panel because it is a meeting and not everybody is willing to have everybody know that they're recovering alcoholic or what have you. So, anyways, this is a judgment-free zone. If you're going to be here to judge somebody, go somewhere else. Like I said, this is a meeting, and I want people to feel safe to chat if they want and not be bullied and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm Sandra, and I'm an alcoholic. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You could turn that down. Hey, Christopher, turn it down. He's really into that video, whatever he's watching. I put in the description what I'm reading, the page number, the book, the story, the step, the tradition. All of it should be there. And being we are in the step and traditions book, it should be on the same pages in whatever book you have. If not, I'm sorry. I'm going to read them anyway, so don't worry. You'll know what it says. Anyways, 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Hey, Tony. Good to see you here. You missed me on Tuesday, which is fine. I know you haven't been feeling good, so you need some sleep. Get your sleep. Anyway, so we are on step 4 in the Steps and Traditions book on page 42. Step 4 made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Creation gave us instinct for a purpose. Without them, we wouldn't be complete human beings. If men and women didn't exert themselves to be secure in their persons, made no effort to harvest food or construct shelter, there would be no survival. If they didn't reproduce, the earth wouldn't be populated. If there were no social instinct, if men cared nothing for the society of one another, there would be no society. So these desires for the sex relation, for material and emotional security, and for companionship are perfectly necessary and right and surely God-given. Yet these instincts, so necessary for our existence, often far exceeded their proper functions. Powerfully, blindly, many times subtly, they drive us, dominate us, and instincts upon ruling our lives. Our desire for sex, for material and emotional securities, and for an important place in society often tyrannicize us. When thus out of joint, man's natural desire caused him great trouble, practically all the trouble there is. No human being, however good, is exempt from these troubles. Nearly every serious emotional problem can be seen as a case of misdirected instinct. When that happens, our great natural asset and instincts have turned into physical and mental liabilities. Step 4 is our vigorous and painstaking effort to discover what these liabilities in each of us have been and are. We want to find exactly how, when, and where our natural desire have warped us. We wish to look squarely at the unhappiness this has caused others and ourselves. By discovering what our emotional deformities are, we can move towards their correction. Without a willing and persistent effort to do this, there will be little sobriety or contentment. Most of us have found that the faith which really works in daily living is still out of reach. Before tackling the inventory problem in detail, let's have a closer look at what the basic problem is. Simple examples like the following take on a world of meaning when we think about them. Suppose a person places sex desire ahead of everything else. In such a case, this imperious urge can destroy his chances for material and emotional security as well as his standing in the community. Another may develop such an obsession for financial security that he wants to do nothing but hoard money. Going to the extreme, he can become a miser or even a recluse who denies himself both family and friends. Nor is the quest for security always expressed in terms of money. How frequently we see a frightened human being determined to depend depend completely upon a stronger person for guidance and protection. This weak one, failing to meet life responsibilities with his own resources, never grows up. Disillusionment and helplessness are his lot. In time, all his protectors either flee or die, and he is once more left alone and afraid. We've also seen men and women who go power mad, who devote themselves to attempting to rule their fellows. These people often throw to the winds every chance for legitimate legitimate security and a happy family life. Whenever a human being becomes a battleground for the instinct, there can be no peace. But that is not all of the danger. Every time a person imposes his instincts unreasonably upon others, unhappiness follows. If the pursuit of wealth tramples upon people who happen to be in the way, then anger, jealousy, and revenge are likely to be aroused. If sex runs riot, there is a similar uproar. Demand made upon other people for too much attention, protection, and love can only invite domination or revulsion in the protectors themselves. Two emotions quite as unhealthy as the demand which evoked them. When an individual desire for prestige becomes uncontrollable, whether in the sewing circle or at the international conference table, other people suffer and often revolt. This collision of instinct can produce anything from a cold snub to a blazing revelation or revoltation, whatever that word is. In these ways, we are set in conflict not only with ourselves but with other people who have instincts too. Alcoholics especially should be able to see that instinct run wild in themselves and the underlying cause of their destructive drinking. We have drunk to drown feelings of fear, frustration, and depression. We have drunk to escape the guilt of passion, and then have drunk again to make more passion possible. We have drunk for vainglory that we might the more enjoy foolish dreams of pomp and power. This perverse soul sickness is not pleasant to look upon. Instincts on rampage balk at investigation. The minute we make a serious attempt to probe them, we are liable to suffer severe reactions. If temperamentally we are on the depressive side, we are apt to be swamped with guilt and self-loathing. We wallow in this messy bog, often getting a misshapen and painful pleasure out of it. As we morbidly pursue this mahogany activity, we may sink to such a point of despair that nothing but oblivion looks possible as a solution. Here, of course, we have lots of perspective and therefore all genuine humility, for this is pride in reverse. This is not a moral inventory at all. It is the very process by which the depressive has so often been led to the bottle and extinction. If, however, our natural disposition is inclined to self-righteousness or grandiosity, our reaction will be just the opposite. We'll be offended at a suggested inventory. No doubt we shall point with pride to the good lives we thought we led. Before the bottle cut us down, we shall claim that our serious chapter or character defects, if we think we have any at all, have been caused chiefly by excessive drinking. This being so, we think it logically follows that sobriety first, last, and all the time. It is the only thing we need to work for. We believe that our one-time good characters will be revived the moment we quit alcohol. If we were pretty nice people all along, except for our drinking, what need is there for a moral inventory now that we are sober? We also clutch at another wonderful excuse for avoiding an inventory. Our present anxieties and troubles, we cry, are caused by the behavior of other people. People who really need a moral inventory. We firmly believe that if only they'd treat us better, we'd be all right. Therefore, we think our indignation is justified and reasonable, that our resentments are the right kind. We aren't the guilty ones, they are. At this stage of the inventory proceedings, our sponsors come to the rescue. They can do this, for they are the carriers of AA's tested experience with Step 4. They comfort the mahogany one by first showing him that his case is not strange or different, that his character defects are probably not more numerous or worse than those of anyone else in AA. This sponsor promptly proves by talking freely and easily, and without exhibitism, about his own defects, past and present. This calm yet realistic stock-taking is immensely reassuring. The sponsor proudly points out that the newcomer has some asset which can be noted along with his liabilities. This tends to clear away morbidity and encourage balance. As soon as he begins to be more objective, the newcomer can fearlessly rather than fearfully look at his own defects. The sponsor of those who feel they need no inventory are confronted with quite another problem. This is because people who are driven by pride of self unconsciously blind themselves to their liabilities. These newcomers scarcely need comforting. The problem is to help them discover a chink in the walls their ego has built, through which the light of reason can shine. First off, they can be told that the majority of AA's members have suffered severely from the self-justification during their drinking days. For most of us, self-justification was the maker of excuses, of course, for drinking and for all kinds of crazy and damaging conduct. We had made the invitation of alibis of fine art. We had to drink because times were hard or times were good. We had to drink because at home we were smothered with love or got none at all. We had to drink because at work we were great successes or dismissal or dismal failures. We had to drink because our nation had won a war or lost a peace. And so it went ad infinitum. We thought conditions drove us to drink, and when we tried to correct these conditions and found that we couldn't to our entire satisfaction, our drinking went out of hand and we became alcoholics. It never occurred to us that we needed to change ourselves to meet conditions, whatever they were. But in AA, we slowly learned that something had to be done about our vengeful resentments, self pity, and unwanted pride. Sorry, unwarranted pride. We had to see that every time we played the big shot, we turned people against us. We had to see that when we harbored grudges and planned revenge for such defeats, we were really beating ourselves with a club of anger we had intended to use on others. We learned that if we were seriously disturbed, our first need was to quiet the disturbance, regardless of who or what we thought caused it. To see how erotic emotions victimized us often took a long time. We could perceive them quickly in others, but only slowly in ourselves. First of all, we had to admit that we had many of these defects, even though such disclosures were painfully and humiliating. Where other people were concerned, we had to drop the word blame from our speech and thought. This required great willingness even to begin. But once over the first two or three high hurdles, the course ahead began to look easier, for we had started to get perspective on our life ourselves, which in another way of saying that we were gaining in humility. Of course, the depressive and the power driver are personality extremes, types with which AA and the whole world abound. Often these personalities are just as sharply defined as the examples given. But just as often, some of us will fit more or less into both classifications. Human beings are never quite alike. So each of us, when making an inventory, will need to determine what his individual character defects are. Having found the shoes that fit, he ought to step into them and walk with new confidence that he is at last on the right track. Now let's ponder the need for a list of the more glaring personality defects all of us have in varying degrees. Hi Gina, hi Brenda. To those having religious training, such a list would set forth serious violations of moral principles. Some others will think of this list as defect of character. Still others will call it an index of maladjustments. Some will become quite annoyed if there is talk about immorality, let alone sin. But all who are in the least reasonable will agree upon one point, that there is plenty wrong with us alcoholics, about which plenty will have to be done if we are to expect sobriety, progress, and any real ability to cope with life. To avoid falling into confusion over the names these defects should be called, let's take a universal realization list of major human failings. The 7 deadly sins of pride: greed, lust, anger, gluttony, envy, and sloth. It is not by accident that pride heads the procession, for pride leading to self-justification and always spurred by con- con- conscious or unconscious fears, is the basic breeder of most human difficulties, the chief block to true progress. Pride lures us into making demands upon ourselves or upon others, which cannot be met without preventing or misusing our good God-given instincts. When the satisfaction of our instincts protects security and social becoming or society becomes the sole object of our lives, then pride steps in to justify our excesses. All these failings generate fear, a soul sickness in its own right. Then fear, in turn, generates more character defects, unreasonable fear that our instincts will not be satisfied, drives us to covet the possessions of others, to lust for sex and power, to become angry when our instinctive demands are threatened, to be envious when the ambition of others seem to be realized, which ours are not. We eat, drink, and grab for more of everything than we need, fearing we shall never have enough, and with genuine alarm at the prospect of work, we stay lazy. Sorry, I had a message. Add with genuine alarm at the pros- prospect of work, we stay lazy. We loaf and procrastinate, or at best work grudgingly and under half steam. These fears are the termites that seasonally devour the foundations of whatever sort of life we try to build. So when AA suggests a fearless moral inventory, it must seem to every newcomer that more is being asked of him than he can do. Both his pride and his fear beat him back every time tries to look within himself. Pride says, look, but the testimony of AA who have really tried a moral inventory is that pride and fear of this sort turn out to be boogeymen, nothing else. Once we have a complete willingness to take inventory and exert ourselves to do the job thoroughly, a wonderful light falls upon this foggy foggy scene. This one's long. I only got 3 more pages. As we persist, a brand new kind of confidence is born, and the sense of relief at finally facing ourselves is indescribable. These are the first fruits of step 4. By now, the newcomer has probably arrived at the following conclusion: that his character defects, representing instinct gone astray, have been the primary cause of his drinking and his failure at life. That unless he is now willing to work hard at the elimination of the worst of these defects, both sobriety and peace of mind will still elude him. That all the faulty foundation of his life will have to be torn out and built anew on bedrock. Now willing to commence the search for his own defects, he will ask, just how do I go about this? How do I take inventory of myself? Since step 4 is but the beginning of a lifetime practice, it can be suggested that he first have a look at those personal flaws which are acutely troublesome and fairly obvious. Using his best judgment of what has been right and what has been wrong, he might make a rough survey of his conduct with respect to his primary instinct for sex, security, and society. Looking back over his life, he can readily get underway by consideration of questions such as these: when and how and in just what instance did my selfish pursuit of sex relation damage other people and me? What people were hurt and how badly? Did I spoil my marriage or injure my children? Did I jeopardize my standing in the community? Just how did I react to these situations at the time? Did I burn with guilt that nothing could extinguish? Or did I insist that I was the pursued and not the pursuer, and thus absolve myself? How have I reacted to frustration in sexual matters? When denied, did I become vengeful or depressed? Did I take it out on other people? If there was rejection or coldness at home, did I use this as a reason for promiscuity? I think that's what that word is. Also of importance for most alcoholics are the questions they must ask about their behavior respecting financial and emotional security. In these areas, fear, greed, possessiveness, and pride have too often done their worst. surveying his business or employment record. Almost any alcoholic can ask questions like these. In addition to my drinking problem, what character defects contributed to my financial instability? Did fear or inferiority about my fitness for my job destroy my confidence and fill me with conflict? Did I try to cover up those feelings of inadequacy by bluffing, cheating, lying, or evading responsibility? Or by gripping that others failed to recognize my truly exceptional abilities? He's over there yawning now. The dog makes everybody tired. Did I overvalue myself and play the big shot? Did I have such unprincipled ambition that I double-crossed and undercut my associates? Was I extravagant? Did I recklessly borrow money, caring little whether it was repaid or not? Was I a penny pinch or pinch penny? I said it backwards. Said it backwards and lost my spot. Dang it. Refusing to support my family properly. Did I cut corners financially? What about the quick money deals, the stock market, and the races? Businesswomen in AA will naturally find that many of these questions apply to them. But the alcoholic housewife can also make the family financially insecure. She can juggle charge accounts, manipulate the food budget, spend her afternoon gambling, and run her husband into debt by irresponsibility, waste, and extravagance. But all alcoholics who have drunk themselves out of jobs, families, and friends will need to cross-examine themselves ruthlessly to determine how their own personality defects have thus demolished their security. The most common symptom of emotional insecurity are worry, anger, self-pity, and depression. These stem from causes which sometimes seem to be within us at, and at other times to come from without. To take inventory in this respect, we ought to consider carefully all personal relationships which bring continuous or recurring trouble. It should be remembered that this kind of insecurity may arise in any other or in any area where instincts are threatened. Questioning directed to this end might run like this. Looking at both past and present, what sex situations have caused me anxiety, bitterness, frustration, or depression? Appraising each situation fairly. Can I see where I have been at fault? Did these perplexities beset me because of selfishness or unreasonable demands? Or if my disturbance was seemingly caused by the behavior of others, why do I lack the ability to accept conditions I cannot change? These are the sort of fundamental inquiries that can disclose the source of our discomfort and indicate whether I may be able to alert my own conduct and so adjust myself. Can't find my spot again. These are the sort of fundamental inquiries that can disclose the source of my discomfort and, and indicate whether I may be able to alter my own conduct and so adjust myself serenely to self discipline. Suppose that financial insecurity constantly arouses these same feelings. I can ask myself, to what extent have my own mistakes fed my gnawing anxiety? And if the actions of others are part of this cause, what can I do about that? If I am unable to change the present state of affairs, am I willing to take the measures necessary to shape my life to conditions as they are? Questions like these, more of which will come to mind easily in each individual case, will help turn up the root causes. But it is from our twisted relations with family, friends, and society at large that many of us have suffered the most. We have been especially stupid and stubborn about them. The primary fact that we fail to recognize is our total inability to form a true partnership with another human being. Our egomania digs two disastrous pitfalls. Either we insist upon dominating the people we know, or we depend upon them far too much. If we lean too heavily on people, they will sooner or later fail us, for they are human too, and cannot possibly meet our incessant demand. In this way, our insecurity grows and festers. When we habitually try to manipulate others to our own willful desire, they revolt and with resist us heavily. Then we develop hurt feelings, a sense of persecuous, whatever that word is. I can't say it, I ain't gonna even try. And a desire to retaliate as we redouble our effort at control and continue to fail. Our suffering becomes acute and constant. We have not once sought to be one in a family, to be a friend among friends, to be a worker among workers, to be a useful member of society. Always we tried to struggle to the top of the heap or to hide underneath it. This self centered behavior blocked a partnership relation with any one of those about us. Of true brotherhood, we had small compensation. Some will object to many of these questions posed because they think their own character defects have not been so glaring. To these, it can be suggested that a Continuous examination is likely to reveal the very defects the objectionable questions are concerned with, because our surface record hasn't looked too bad. We have frequently been abashed to find that this is simply because we have buried these er, sorry, buried these self-same defects deep down in us under thick layers of self-justification. Whatever the defect, they have finally ambushed us into alcoholism and misery. Therefore, thoroughness ought to be the watchword when taking inventory. In this connection, it is wise to write out our questions and answers. It will be an aid to clear thinking and honest appraisal. It will be the first tangible evidence of our complete willingness to move forward. Y'all, I procrastinated the fourth step for months. I did not want to have nothing to do with step 4 at all. For the same reasons, because I didn't understand what it meant. You know, if I really wanted to tell people what I went through before drinking and after drinking, but since I found AA and I've gotten a sponsor and I've had 11 years sober, I think learning how to do step 4 and finally doing it for the first time, I had to sit for hours by myself to even make myself stop and think about those things that I needed to get out of my inventory and write it down and make those adjustments to those things that I needed to address right then and there. And it took me quite a while. But when I finally got it done, I let my sponsor read it. Nobody else got to read it, just her. And I asked her, I said, what do I do about these, And she said, well, this one, it was to do with my birth father. And I didn't know. I grew up thinking it was my fault, that I did something wrong when I hadn't done anything wrong. But I didn't know that it wasn't my fault until I did step 4. And I forgave him for it all, for my own self, because that I was going to be selfish about. I didn't forgive him for him, not for his satisfaction. Absolutely not. He didn't even know I forgave him. I don't think, anyways. Maybe I told him when I was drunk. I don't know. But, yeah, he used to call us drunk all the time, and that would be when he wanted to talk and tell us that he's dying. You're always dying, But I don't know what I would do or where I would be if I had not started AA when I did, because I had already gone back out once. And I didn't want to tell my friend no, I wasn't going to meet him at the first meeting I went to, because, I don't normally talk to strange people. But my friend is one strange dude, but that's him. And but I did end up liking AA, and it did come out that it does help people who want the help. And like I always tell everybody is you have to want it for you. You can't want it for anybody else, because when you're setting yourself up to do for somebody else what you can't do for yourself, it's not going to work. And that's what I got out of going to AA the first few times is if I was going to go and I was going to keep on going, then I was going to make it work, because something had to help me to not go back out there and drink. Because if I went back out there, I was not going to start all over again. I would be right back at the bottom where I left it. And that's what happened the first time I got sober and I didn't have AA. Was I set myself up like many of us did or do by saying, "Oh, after a year I can go ahead and drink." No, dum. That's not. It don't work that way. Really, it does not work that way. But step 4 was a hard one for me for those exact reasons of just I was unwilling to go through my own inventory until other people would tell me some of their story, and that's what we say about the newcomers is just keep coming, because you're going to hear things that will relate to you in ways you wouldn't think. And that's what happened to me. My second meeting, I had a sponsor. And I've had the same sponsor since then. And I've had one other sponsor. And they both taught me how to use my voice and how to work my steps and how to just breathe. When I'm having those struggles, no matter where I'm at, because I still have them at work, I get frustrated and I get irritated where I want to throw shit, and I can't do that. So I have to remind myself, just breathe. I can't control what everything else is doing or how everything else is going. I can only control my way of dealing with it and control myself in that situation. And with AA being there, it has been a blessing in disguise and helping me to do my step 4 every single day. And because if I don't, then I just hold on to it and it won't be good. I mean, that's how it works. So right here it says, so when AA suggests a fearless moral inventory, it must seem to every newcomer that more is being asked of him than he can do. Both his pride and his fear beat him back every time he tries to look within himself. Pride says, you need not pass this way. And fear says, you dare not look. But the testimony of AAs who have really tried moral inventory is that pride and fear of this sort turn out to be the boogeyman, nothing else. Once we have complete willingness to take inventory and exert ourselves to do the job thoroughly, a wonderful light falls upon this foggy scene. As we persist, a brand new kind of confidence is born. and the sense of relief at finally facing ourselves is indescribable. These are the first fruits of step 4, and that is the truth. And it can be scary to do your own inventory and to write out all those things that you have that's been causing you all these defects. And the cool thing is when you're in AA, you can learn how to take care of those on a daily basis. They don't say you have to do it all one and done. No, it's over time, and it's always doing. You got to do it every day. Sometimes more than once a day. Trust me, I know. I also have a sponsor that says you need to pray for that person. Even though you don't want to, you still need to. Because, by the time you're done praying, you done moved on. But it works, guys. I wouldn't be sitting here doing live meetings if it didn't work. And my sister is coming up on 11 years. Oh, coming up. And I get to go back to regular duty probably this weekend. Wish me luck, because my shoulder is not 100% yet. But I gotta try. And I have an MRI on the 19th. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm claustrophobic. Yikes. Not fun. But I am going to the place that has the bigger MRIs. So they were like, yeah, we can send you over to this one where they have the bigger ones. And I was like, thank goodness. Because the last time I went into an MRI machine head first, it didn't go so great. That's how I found out I'm claustrophobic. I was screaming top of my lungs. And my husband was in the waiting room and he could hear me. I was screaming. I did not know anybody was hearing me because it was loud in there and I was just freaking out. Nope. But anyways. Hi TGIF Monday. Good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. Thank you for popping in. But yeah, so doing the inventory can be scary. For me, it was more emotional. It was my mind that was not wanting to go through all those things again, because I remember it all, and it wasn't nice. I was not always a nice person when I was drunk. And there at the end, I was drunk all the time. And when I went back out, I was all the way back out. And it didn't take me no time to just go right back to a whole bottle. And not stopping. So that's how I know that I'm an alcoholic. I don't want to keep going that route because it's never ending. And thankfully, I found the AA way, and I keep working it every day. And I'll keep working it for the rest of my days. And hopefully these meetings are helping others. I know I have friends that it helps. My sponsors here, my sisters here, and I did say hi, Bree. Um, so I had floated the idea of doing AA lives, and I had made some friends here on YouTube, and they're like, I don't know if it would be a good idea, and but after a while, I was like, well, I'm gonna try and see how it goes, and thank you, Bree. Yeah, I have an MRI on my left shoulder. I got hurt at work, so I've been on computer duty, and I hate it. I'd rather be out there in the warehouse with everybody else. My friends are out there, and I'm stuck on a computer. But yeah, I am so glad that I found AA when I did, and yeah, it's my shoulder, my left shoulder. But I think AA, my sponsor, my friends, my family, um, who support my sobriety and come to my meetings here. And if I need to go to an actual meeting, well, this is an actual meeting. But if I want to go to a home group meeting, I can go to a home group meeting, and yeah. So I'm just glad to be sober. Not every day is all rainbows and butterflies, because life just is not like that all the time. But I make the best of every day. Not every day is great, but you still gotta live it. And yeah. Anyways, I'm just rambling now. So, anyways, I love you guys and thank you for coming here. And if you're new here, know that you're not alone, and there's a lot of people that are just like us. And if you have not reached out for help, there's help everywhere, even if you're on a cruise ship. But there's absolutely help everywhere. Even if you have to go to a meeting that you don't understand what they're saying, still go. And, at least you know that you were sober for that time. And anyways, I love you guys, and I'll see you on Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for AA again. And so let's say the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys. Be nice. Be safe. Stay sober. Good night.